Greetings ladies and gents, and welcome to today's Reddit Quickie video, taken from the HFY subreddit called The Test, written by LgFatherAnthrocite. The link to the original will be down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Okay, rookie, time for the test, said O'Doyle as he sat on a bench next to the new kid. They were in a mess hall with two off-duty shifts packed into a watch of the latest video feed recording the graph ball. It was the Texas Tigers versus the Grenklin Grenknocks. A small group at the table all chorused "ooh" at the mention of the test. Asteroid mining was a dangerous job. There were no nearby medical facilities outside of the med bay. No one to rescue you if you got caught with your pants down out in the middle of nowhere. Miners relied on each other to see everyone home safe. Mikey Reese was on his first ever rotation that he had been doing well so far, keeping his head down and doing his work as best he could. It was hard labor and intensive work. He had been out for 3 weeks, and though he'd settled down into the crew, now this. "What test?" he asked, looking over at Doyle. "Well, Rook, you've been here for 3 weeks. If you're gonna rush out, you would have done it by now. But, and this is a big but, Rook, just 'cause you can do the work don't mean that you can rely on you. So we came up with a test to see if you got what it takes in a pinch." O'Doyle looked him in the eye. "This ain't no joke, and it ain't no hazing ya. We need to know if you got what it takes when the whole world goes tits up. We only got each other out here after all." Someone came over with a plastic garbage bag full of lumpy shapes. They set it in front of Reese, and another guy handed Reese a tool wrap. Everyone at the table was looking at Reese. No one was smiling. No one was laughing. The grab ball game was suddenly being ignored. Reese looked around and gave a nervous laugh with a half smile. "What do I gotta do?" "Here's the deal, Rook. That bag has 2 different styles of plasma coupler in it. You got 30 minutes to make them both work at the same exhaust discharge before the engine goes critical." Someone dropped a small, beaten-up exhaust system onto the end of the table. "The rules are that you can use any tool you got in your wrap, and anything that you can scavenge from the inside of a hopper." Hoppers were the small ships the miners used to cut and haul chunks of asteroid to the main mining ship for processing and refining. The hoppers were all roughly the same size. Crew of 4, pilot, co-pilot, tech specialist, and crewman. Tech specialist ran laser drills that cut the asteroids into chunks, or operated the tractor beams to haul them into the processing. The crewman, Reese's job, was to help the tech specialist and to run around the hopper dealing with any issues that might crop up. With so much heavy equipment and so much mass floating around, things like small hull punctures were common, and engines would often get damaged by debris. This effectively meant that Reese was short-order repairman, patching whatever failure the hopper had until the shift ended, and it could get properly fixed at the mining ship's dock. "What happens if I can't make it work?" "You finish your bid, and you don't get asked back," said O'Doyle. "We ain't trying to be mean, Rook. We just don't want to die here, and I hope that neither do you. Time starts now." Reese dumped out the bag on the table and immediately saw an issue. The exhaust was a Bailey Type 2, which used a vented plasma coupler, and the couplers in the bag were ventless. One was too large and the other was too small. Reese grabbed a pencil from his wrap and the 2 couplers and a table, and he pulled the exhaust discharge unit over to where he was sitting. He placed each coupler on the open plasma vent spaces and marked the length of each. He knew from training that the Bailey 2 required a venting of plasma state gas of operational loads, so without the couplers the engine would eventually overpressure and fail. If that happened, everyone would lose a day of work, while the rescue had to happen. Not work meant no pay. It wasn't life-threatening, but it would hurt the miners in their paychecks, which is almost as bad. He snagged a cutting tool and snipped both the couplers in the proper lengths. Then checked for the fit. He adjusted and cut the larger diameter one, shaving off another 1/16 of an inch. There were both the proper length. He pulled the smaller ruler out of his wrap and started making lines every 1/8 of a rotation until the circumference of the couplers. Next he marked every line within every half an inch, until there was a pattern of marks laid around a grid on the couplers. He grabbed the needle drill and started to drill out the grid marks. O'Doyle kept track of the time, marking off every 5-minute increment. 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, Rook. Come on, man, you ain't gonna make it. Hustle, hustle. Finally, having finished the vents with the test coupler, Reese fit the narrowed one. It was only a hair smaller and needed to be. Reese grabbed a micro-torch welder and laid it down a bead of metal at one end of the tube, filled it quickly, and slid the couple back in place. Using the bead as a positive stop, then welded the other end in place, completing the repair. The larger coupler was about 1/4 of an inch too big for the connection. Reese had a flash as he thought of the word quarter. He rummaged through his pockets and pulled out a handful of coins from his last visit to Earth. He had gotten into the habit of moving all of his pocket contents from one pair of pants to the next, and had been shuffling the coins around for nearly a month. He found 2 of the largest coins and stacked them up. He drilled a hole through the center of each stack, matching it to the size of the connection with the exhaust. He used the microtorch to weld 10 minutes to weld the 2 quarters to the ends of the connections, and then he slid the coupler back between. It fit like a glove. 2 more quick beads of metal later, and the fix was in. 6 minutes and 30 seconds left. "Goddamn kid, you're good," shouted O'Doyle after inspecting the makeshift repair and checking his watch. The room burst into cheers as everyone reached out to pat Reese on the back and congratulate him on graduating from being a rookie. A round of beers followed, and the Tigers lost the grab ball game. O'Doyle was working on the tractor beam rig, and Reese was doing shift checklists when the puncture happened. No one panicked when this happens. Everyone is just used to it. Reese dropped the clipboard he was running the checklist off of and grabbed the micro-torch from his wrap and a small steel plate from the rack of small parts in the cubby at the back of the crew area. He slapped the plate over the hole and slowly welded it in place. No one even batted an eye. When he finished, Reese retrieved his checklist and picked that up where he left off. Mercer was running the laser drill, and Reese was watching the coolant levels as the side panel as the laser chamber. When the pilot noticed the green light turn red in his console, "Reese, we got debris in our forward port maneuvering thruster," she shouted over the shoulder. Reese gave her a thumbs up and signaled to Mercer to lower the laser output. Well, he had to step away. He crawled under the deck plate, dropped the hatch release, and sealed the thruster port. He disconnected the thruster nozzle, cleared out the debris, and turned it on. It was a small, roughly squarish shard of iron that had chipped off in the asteroid while they were lasering it apart. He stuffed the chip back into his pocket so it wouldn't rattle around and replaced the thruster nozzle, sealed the connection, and reopened the hatch. After he crawled back, he told the pilot to run a test cycle, and the red light turned green. Reese gave the pilot a thumbs up and went back to monitoring the laser's coolant levels as Mercer amped up the output. Reese was sitting on a shuttle. It had been 4 long months, but his first mining bid was up, and he had 8 months of planet-side time waiting. Rotations were set so that you spend 4 months in space, 2 months off, and 4 months continuing education, learning more equipment operations planet-side, 2 more months off, so they were well rested. Then back to the hoppers. He saw O'Doyle get into the shuttle. He waved to him. O'Doyle sat next to him and said, "Nicely done. Congrats on completing your rookie bid." He held out his hand and shook Reese's. "Thanks, O'Doyle. I appreciate you helping me get my chops. Here." He held out a thin leather strap, and on it were a quarter and a quarter-sized billet of an asteroid iron. Both held the leather strap with a tiny, expertly installed loop. "Figured you could keep this on you, in case the crewman ever needs to weld an oversized coupler. This is the last time I'll ever say this to you." "Nicely done, rookie," said O'Doyle with a smile as he tied the strap around his neck. And that, my friends, is the end of this Reddit Quickie. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support this channel, there are numerous ways to do so, listed in the description down below. The easiest and best way would be to share this video and my channel as much as possible. I'll see you all in the next video, and I hope that you have a good one until then. Cheers. P.S. With all the changes in YouTube recently, it has become more a case of when my account will get banned rather than if my account will be banned, the same as everyone else. If you look down below, there is a link to my SoundCloud account where everything gets backed up. I recommend that you follow that account just in case something happens to this account. Other than that, everything will still continue as normal. Thanks. Cheers.